Check. Good comms on the no audio chat. I just had to hot fix that, so I appreciate y'all for doing that. But what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Red Seat live stream. My name is Corbin, and thank you very much for being here this evening. Who do we got in the building early on? Mike is always here early. What's going on, Mr. Money Mike Madness? Chris, how you doing? Bobby's here. Kyle, Carey, John, Schmon. Gonna butcher that one. Rez, how you doing? Fo, how are you? Logan, how are you? Who am I missing here? I think I got everybody. Lee, how you doing? Carrie, I think I already said hello, but I will say hello once again. Nando, what's going on? Ian, how are you? Nate, how you doing? A mid-off season can't make me any less excited for Friday, not gonna lie. Yeah, the fact that the Red Sox play a game, I low-key love the Northeastern game, because what is going on? I feel like my visuals are off a little bit, chat. Let me see here. Let me figure this out. Is it on TV? Yeah, it should be on TV, actually. It should be on TV. It's Northeastern versus the Sox. Not gonna do that one. We'll do that one. Northeastern versus the Red Sox. It's going to be, I mean, it's literally going to be, but every year I get excited for it because it means baseball's back, right? And so, man, oh man, what's up, Fenway Joe? What's up, Rick? Yeah, let me see. I'd imagine, actually, I think, didn't Nesson put out their schedule here? Nesson Spring Training Schedule 2026. No, they aren't airing it. Interesting. Although I guess maybe it doesn't count. Oh yeah, no, they are. They are. Friday, February. Here, let me hold on. That is today's thumbnail, by the way. Oh my god, dude. I have so many things open in the background. I have no idea what any of those things are. Anyways. So, first game is Nesson Friday. Then we get Saturday, Sunday. They don't air Mondays, but they air Tuesday, Wednesdays. Don't air Thursdays. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I would say they've got like 3/4 of them. 3/4 of them in here, I think. What's up, Thomas? Welcome in. Did I see Aaron Judge's response to the Yankees offseason? Yeah, it was interesting. I don't know. Yeah, he kind of has a right to say that. Like, they're not gonna do anything to him. You know what I mean? Judge. I will say this in Judge's favor. He's pretty good at talking to the media and like speaking his mind without actually speaking his mind. I feel like that's exactly what that was. Any chance they waive Masa? Yeah, I think there's a chance. Or move him to a different position. So this is an interesting thing, with Masa, is I've seen this a lot, is, hey, can we just move him somewhere else, right? Yeah, you're right. In Japan, he played second base. I think he even played a little bit of third base, too. The Red Sox don't seem like they're even remotely interested in doing that, right? There was like 1 second early or late last year where they tried him out at first base for like 2 games or something, and then it was just sort of, that was it. So it doesn't seem like the Red Sox are all that interested in trying to move him to a different position. I don't know the answer as to why, candidly. In terms of, hey, is there anywhere else you could put him? But yeah, I don't see anything here. Now, we got a couple things that we are going to talk about in today's video, or today's live stream. I'm so used to saying video. I always say video. We got to start with this. So I don't know if you guys have seen this yet or not, but I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant here. First, let me answer Carrie here. Saw a bunch of players, got some autographs, really great time. Did I ever make it down there? The only time I've been to spring training is like 2008, right after they won the World Series. That's the last time I've been. I was going to go this year and do like a vlog/video for you guys and kind of, make my way around different things. But, yeah, with the wedding, I just didn't have it in the budget. Hopefully next year I can get down there. But anyways, let me talk about this for a second. So on your screen right now, oh yeah, those are the new members only emotes, by the way. We got Ranger Suarez. His nickname's Mr. Rager. So that's one of my favorite emotes I think we have on this channel. And we've got the platinum glove for the defense here. Anyways, This is 2023's Red Sox jersey, okay? This was the one that had like the see-through pants and stuff like that. Big problem, right? Let me show you what 2025's looks like. Let me show you. Ugly. And I don't know why they did. Here's what I'm specifically frustrated with. Now, this is more kind of like retro, right? If you go back to like 2007-ish, a little bit before, the lines are a little bit spread out, right? Like if you look at this old one, the lines are pretty close together, right? This one, Skate, thank you so much for becoming a member to the standing room. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Members only next week, by the way. I wanted to wait until games and really sort of dive into that on the members only, so keep an eye out for that, but that will be next week. Yeah, so they spread out the lines, which is fine, but the problem is, what are we doing with this? Look at this. So the red is all the way over here. The Sox it feels unbalanced. It feels unbalanced. Like this looks terrible, if we're being honest. Like why are you putting the D is fully on this lace and the S is fully on this lace? Why? Right? This is my rant for the day, and then we'll get into the actual stuff. But I saw this on Twitter and I was like, oh my God. Like that is tough. Like look at how far to this side. I don't know if it's Tanner who's doing it. Like, I don't know if he's looking weird. Let me try something. I'd imagine they're probably all on Getty, right? Yeah. So, no, it's not. Because, like, look, here's a Roldis Chapman. Oh, it opens in a separate tab. Red Sox, 1979. Thank you so much for becoming a member of the Red Sea, man. I appreciate you. And it's the box seats. Been here for a bit, too. Thank you. Yeah, the letters touching the tubing is just so weird. Like, it's not just, like, look at Chapman's here. Like, if we could zoom in a little bit. Like, look at Chapman's looks just like it, where the red is just so much further into his body than the Sox is. Like, it's driving me nuts here. Here's a better picture. If you look at Roman's, right, it's just fully on that, and it's driving me crazy. Don't buy a jersey this year, chat. That's my moral of the story is, don't buy a jersey this year. 2 full years Tracy's been a member of Red Sea Radio. Can we get some claps in the chat for Tracy, man? 2 full years. Can we get a clap in the chat for all the new members and old members and people just saying a member, you know? This is going to sound terrible, but who is this? Who is this? I don't even remember them picking a guy up. That guy up. I'm gonna butcher this. Sung Che Sheng. Sung She Cheng. I hope I said that correctly. I don't remember them picking him up. Anyways, yeah, the jerseys are just, this is throwing me off, dude. This kind of ruined my entire night, if we're being honest. Alex Cora is a good one too. To like look at what they did to our boy. What did they do? I'm having a big issue with the Red Sox. I'm having a big issue with it. But anyway, sorry, Chad. Do I think Tanner will be in the lineup next year? You mean the rotation? I don't know. It depends. I don't even know if he's going to be healthy for opening day. Like these, I mean, guys, this is just, I'm upset. I'm upset. Hopefully it gets fixed by the start of the season. I know. Can't even see Sogi's eyes. I think it's just the lighting. If you zoom in, you can see him a bit. You'll be getting this one. You know what, low key, I do kind of want one of these jerseys just for like in like 5 or 6 years to be like, yeah, guys, I got the misshapen Red Sox jersey. You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't look professional. It looks like I did this. Like if I made the Red Sox jerseys, this is what I would do accidentally. I don't know. It made me irrationally mad. It made me irrationally mad. Yeah, and they don't fit crazy well either. That's another good point. Like Chapman's going to look buff in anything, but even Chapman, it's like last year's his was kind of like form fitting, This isn't form fitting anymore. Roman's looks pretty good, but that's because he's like up like this, Like they're much baggier. I don't know, man. It's just throwing me off. I would do better. True. Where is Masa? There's Masa right there. There's Yoshida. You hate the different background? It's always been red, I think, for the most part. We'll win a World Series. True. Yeah, they'll mean a lot more when the Red Sox are like on a parade boat with these. That's fair. Look at Tolley, man. Buddy trimmed the mustache and everything for picture day. Looks incredible. What do we got going on? Why'd they put this one dude? Why'd they put this one dude in a catcher's mask? Genuinely, this poor guy, this one poor 40-man rostered player, probably Gray. I'd imagine it's probably Gray. Oh, Matt. Right, Matt. Where's Durbin? Oh, there's Durbin. Our short king. I will say, Durbin looks good in a Red Sox uniform. You thought Tolley was me? Guys, anyone who has longer hair, bushier eyebrows, everyone goes, that looks like Corbin. That's just some random dude like when you buy the picture frame. You got a question. How much better do I think the Sox are than this season? What, they win 89 games last year? I think they're a 90-win baseball team. Look up Nesson short today on Peyton Tolley's media day. I will get they every time I put a Nesson anything on screen, they immediately copyright me. So can't do that. Anyways, Chad. I spent 15 minutes talking about this. We don't need to talk about this anymore. But this is driving me absolutely crazy. And this is going to be so hard to not focus on for the first couple of games. Probably need to ease up on the Pedroia comparisons. Yeah, I keep saying that. Like to expect, Dustin Pedroia level of impact on your team from Caleb Durbin in his second year at the major league level is kind of tough. Like, I get how tall was Dustin Pedroia? He had to be in that range, right? He was 5'9". Durbin's 3 inches shorter than him. Oh my God, dude. How high is Jose Altuve? How high? What's his height? He's the same height as Jose. Okay. For this season, do I think Crochet could overtake Skubal? It's gonna be tough, dude. Skubal's on a walk here. He's got a lot to be playing for right now. The only thing I can kind of hope for is that Skubal gets traded midway through. We'll see. Everyone should, because he's in tears because it's his first media day. I thought I couldn't love him anymore. Man, I'm all right. You know what? No. You didn't think he was that short? Yeah, Durbin. I'm pretty sure Rob Bradford tweeted out. So he's listed at 5'7" on here. I think if we go to Rob Bradford, I think he tweeted out like the let me see here. Maybe I'm wrong. Oh yeah. Caleb Durbin has been officially measured at 5 feet 6.5 inches. He pointed out that in college they listed him at 5'8". Interesting. I don't think it's glazing, dude. To say you like the guy, I don't think that's glazing at all. How high is Jose Altuve? Depends on. All right, Mike. Okay, so there were a couple other things that I wanted to talk about tonight in terms of sort of spring training kind of general updates, and then we can kind of get into questions. Corbin, who do I prefer, Tolley or Early? I'm a big Tolley guy. I think I think Tolley is the higher ceiling. The lower floor, but I think the higher ceiling. Loving him more because he cried his glazing territory. Nah, dude. People like being like cringy and glazing is so dumb to me. Like, dude, if you like a guy, like the guy. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, okay. If you thought in media day him crying and being excited for his first media day was cool and that made you like the person more, good to you. You know, good to you. Durbin at second and Meyer at third makes the most sense just to keep Rafael in center. Rafael will always be in center no matter what. What does glazing mean? Gen X. Like over complimenting, I think would be the best word for it. What's up, Spencer? I will stand by Tolly. That's my mustache, brother. Oh, hell yeah, Spencer. Let's go. Huge, dude. Congratulations. Casas Contreras, Story, Anthony, Abreu. We got some thumpers. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, overhyping, probably be a good word. I didn't know if he knew hyping, though. Okay, so the second thing I wanted to talk about is we did get more information on Romy Gonzalez. Doesn't sound like he's going to be available come opening day, which is unfortunate. Now, I think if we go here, we can pull up the actual article. Yeah, all right. Well, I guess we'll start here. Okay. So they've got Isaiah Kiner-Falefa working out a bit at first base. Doesn't really mean much to me. Okay. Romy Gonzalez is behind. He's so far behind that he's not even doing baseball activities. He's just doing throwing. Like, that's it. So he's it almost feels like it's a pretty big long shot for him to make the opening day roster right now, which is leading to a conversation about the idea of what the Red Sox are going to do to replace him, right? Obviously, you got Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, who could play kind of anywhere here on the infield. So you've got that in terms of defense covered. But in terms of the bats, it's going to be a little bit of an interesting conversation. Now, Tyler Milliken talked about it. Or not Tyler Milliken, sorry. Alex Cora talked about it. Tyler Milliken tweeted it out here. Let me see. Yeah, so right now, the Alex Cora has kind of got three guys in mind in terms of who could fill that role. It's Andrew Montestero. Jerry, thank you so much for subscribing, my friends. Monasterio, I'm saying that wrong. Andrew Monasterio, Nate Eaton, and Nick Sogard. To me, I'm trying to figure out which one would probably be in terms of direct replacement for, Romy. So again, if you guys missed it like a couple of seconds ago here, Romy Gonzalez is dealing with a shoulder thing. He got a PCP injection. It was going okay. Apparently, it's not going well enough. He is currently playing catch. He's not really doing any other true baseball activities just yet. Doesn't look like he's going to be ready to go for opening day. Now, in terms of who's going to replace him, you got Andrew Monasterio, Nate Eaton, and Nick Sogard. Now, in terms of the actual role Romy was playing, which is kind of going to be essentially a early platoon for Marcelo Meyer until either he develops or the Red Sox get into kind of a rhythm there. It's an interesting conversation because Andrew here, he doesn't really have a ton of MLB experience. It's not bad, 219 games, but he hasn't played a full year. So what we can look at are splits a little bit. Now, they did mess up this. They changed this a little bit on Baseball Reference. It's throwing me off. Okay, give me 1 second, chat. I'll be right back. I'll be right back. All right, my apologies, chat. Where were we? Oh yeah. So we're trying to figure out if Romy's not gonna make. If Dennis is in charge. Oh God. If Romy's not gonna make the opening day roster, who is going to be sort of that replacement for him, right? Because we got to remember who is going to be, where Romy's going to be playing. And that's going to be essentially either second base platoon or third base platoon, depending on where the Red Sox line up. Durbin and Meyer, which we're actually going to talk about in tomorrow's video, because tomorrow we did get a little bit of an update, or in my opinion, a bit of an update in terms of where the Red Sox are planning on putting Durbin and Marcelo. It's a little bit of an interesting one in my opinion, so we'll talk about it. But let's talk about Monasterio a little bit here. It does kind of sound like who said Spider-Man villain? Yeah, Jack. It does kind of sound like a little bit of a Spider-Man villain. Anyways, so if you look at kind of the splits here, Monasterio's at, it's 255, 352 on base percentage is pretty good. Just not great. I mean, he's not a power guy anyways. So not a ton of slug. If you had like a 400 slug here, you're looking at a pretty good left-handed option, right? The other option would be Nate Eaton. Now, the problem I have with Nate Eaton being sort of the replacement for Romy Gonzalez is he never really played a ton of, overall positions, right? It's been mostly third base and outfield. So I don't know that you could put this guy, I don't know if you could put this guy in second base and sort of be like, okay, we're good, right? Which is kind of interestingly where Marcelo could end up. I don't know. So a little bit of an interesting conversation there. But if you look at his splits, he's actually a little bit worse. I mean, to be totally honest with you, it's really not bad against lefties. The only thing is he just didn't have a lot of power last year, right? And again, this is kind of a small sample size. 20 games is less than a month in terms of the amount of plate appearances he got here. So it's kind of tough to judge fully on what Nate Eaton could look like. The Red Sox have been super high on him. So this could be an interesting choice. And then the other one Alex Cora mentioned was Nick Sogard. Now, in my opinion, if we're looking for just the straight up best replacement for Romy Gonzalez until he's healthy, in my eyes, it's Nick Sogard. And I'll tell you exactly why. Well, actually, I'll just show you exactly why. This dude, again, small sample size, loves hitting against lefties. This guy, again, you're talking about 18 games, so there is some sort of, a little bit of a sample size conversation to have here. But you're talking about hitting 371, right? Didn't take a single walk, but also hit four doubles in 18 games. Drove in a couple of RBIs. The OPS was solid, and in my opinion, he's the most versatile option, right? Regardless of where Marcelo ends up, regardless of kind of where the infield lines up and who needs the platoon and whatnot, you've got a guy Nick Sogard who could play all three of these, right? And so, in my opinion, Nick Sogard feels like it'd be the smartest option. Now, we have not seen Monasterio actually play in a Red Sox uniform, right? So this spring's going to be kind of interesting. You've got the three of these guys. Brendan Rodgers is another one who we're seeing a lot of early on here with the Red Sox. Now, my only concern with Brendan Rodgers, and we talked about him when he signed, right, is that he was a decent-ish bat when we're talking about playing in Coors. He got out of Coors, the guy didn't hit for anything, right? We genuinely couldn't hit for anything. So I don't know if that's sort of just small sample size, right? You got 40 games here. I don't know if that's the Coors effect. I don't know what it is. But it's certainly concerning for sure. But if you go to like his career splits, he's definitely better against lefties, considerably better, in fact. And this is a decent size sample size, right? 295, 356, 481 for an 837 OPS, 134 OPS plus. Plays second base, right? I think this is, if Meyer ends up as your second baseman, I think this is probably the better option here. In terms of, hey, he's got major league experience. He's a good hitter against righties. He's going to strike out a lot, but he's going to get on base a pretty decent amount. Like this would be, in my opinion, probably, the more complete veteran answer to Romy Gonzalez going down for a couple of days, but it definitely could be pretty wide open, I think, for the majority of spring training, which is why I wanted to talk about it a little bit. Yeah, I like the Caleb Durbin trade. You just got your Sox Yankees tickets. Let's go, dude. What are we gonna do with the bullpen? I'm low key concerned. I'm not crazy concerned about the bullpen, to be honest with you. I think there's Nelly Taylor, the outfielder. How is he gonna replace Romy? I'm not crazy concerned with the bullpen. I think the Red Sox got enough in terms of like internal options. The only concern I have is what the second lefty is going to look like, right? Because what you need is just one more lefty, right? Ideally, you'd probably want three in there, one kind of medium to lower leverage, one kind of higher to medium leverage, and then obviously your closer, so Aroldis Chapman. So he doesn't really count, in my opinion, as sort of a lefty in the bullpen. But you've got some interesting options. We've talked about them before. Sycamore, Gamboa, Giovanni Moran. Are you going to put Sandoval in the bullpen? We've got, I don't know what the Red Sox plan is with Tolle and Early. My guess is that if they are not going to be in the opening day rotation, they're going to be in AAA, working their way up through the major leagues, through the rotation. But worst case scenario, do you put Tolle in the bullpen for 2 months? And we've seen it before, right? We've seen, Garrett Crochet kind of followed that path where he came up as a reliever, spent a couple of years, and they moved him into the rotation when he was ready. And look at how that worked out, right? So I don't think it's totally out of the realm of possibilities that a guy like Tolle ends up in the bullpen for the Sox coming out of camp here. But you look at the left-handed options, and I think that might be why. I think that might be why a little bit we didn't see a ton of lefty additions to the Red Sox this year. What's up, Mark? Do I think Conrad Kaysen can actually play both ways through the majors? I don't know, dude. Conrad's such an interesting case to me. The thing is, we aren't going to know the answer to that, Bobby, until he's able to come back from his Tommy John surgery. He's coming into the year as strictly a position player because of the fact that he had Tommy John surgery. We probably won't see him pitch until 2027, minimally. Which means, we're not going to get an answer to that until probably 28, 29. I mean, he's what? He's going to be 19 this year. So we'll see, right? We'll see. I don't know. The answer is I don't know. But at the same time, he definitely has the tools, right? You look at when he was drafted. He's a high contact, decent defensive player. And the dude was hitting 97 in high school from Conrad. So he's got the tools to do both. It's just a matter of the Red Sox haven't really ever developed anyone like that. I mean, it's rare in general in baseball, obviously. There's one guy doing it right now, and he's the best player of all time. So it's hard to be like, look, you can just do that with everybody. You know what I mean? But it's an interesting conversation because the Red Sox have never done anything like that. They never had to balance between a position player and a pitcher before, right? So I don't know. Is Romy going to be out for about a month into the regular season? The answer is no one knows, right? The Red Sox haven't even started. Spring training games yet. But it doesn't sound good. He's definitely going to miss a couple of weeks. $4.99 super chat with Romy and Wong relatively locked into the two of your bench spots. Who do the other spots end up going to? First of all, thank you for your $5 super chat. So Romy again is going to be injured. So coming out the gate, he's not going to be on the bench. So that'll be interesting. Wong is definitively, I think, outside of Matt Dice, I think you're probably not going to see any real competition for Wong. So let's just say, okay, you're midway through the year. Wong and Romy are pretty much locked in, right? One of them, it depends on whether or not you're able to move or get rid of. And I hate saying get rid of because I do genuinely think Masataka Yoshida is going to be a good hitter. He's not going to be a great hitter. He's never going to probably win an MVP or a Silver Slugger or anything like that. But I need to turn that off. But just a everyday solid hitter, right? And I think that's who Masa could be. If you don't have him, either traded or DFA'd, he has to be on the bench somewhere, right? He's probably not taking an assignment to AAA, I'd imagine. And so you're kind of left with one spot, and that spot's either going to, in my opinion, probably a fifth outfielder, because Masa's not really a fifth outfielder, right? I'd imagine probably either a Campbell, a Eaton, a Sogard, a Monasterio, right? One of those three guys that you're mentioning. So I'd probably guess that that's who would be in those last two spots. But you trade Masa, it opens it up a little bit more. I think Campbell, if you trade Masa, I think Campbell has a much better shot at being on the opening day. Oh, yeah, IKF. What am I talking about? Duh. Yeah, IKF. So really you're down to a spot, no spots. No spots. No spots. What do I think about Arias? What do I think is Arias' future? I feel like he's kind of blocked right now. Yeah, he is a little bit, but you got to remember too, Arias probably won't be ready until 2027. And by then, Story is, coming into the last year of his deal. You kind of potentially, maybe you platoon him a little bit, start him off a little bit slower on the infield. And then maybe in 28, you bring him into a full-time role. I think that's kind of what the path looks like right now for him, would be 2028-ish. I guess it kind of depends on how good he is, right? In terms of what I think the player is himself, I think it's going to be a defensive forward guy. I think it's going to be a guy who, you see a lot in terms of defensive highlights. He doesn't have a ton of power. It's going to be an interesting thing, whether or not he can bring sort of this hit tool in terms of contact to the major league level. If he can do that, I think you're looking at Nico Horner a little bit. But he really needs to prove that he could continuously be a high contact guy, which is something he wasn't really in when he got up to what did he get up to? AA last year, AA, but that takes some time. $5 super chat from Mr. Money Mike Madness. He says IKF and Wong need a vacation. I hear the Bermuda Triangle is nice this time of year, man. Not holding back, Mike, are we? Not holding back. The problem is who would you rather have in that bench spot than Wong, right? Like, genuinely, who would you rather have? That's the issue. The other problem is, as much as I think at this point, like the Red Sox going out and getting Durbin and Monasterio while having Sogard, Eaton, and Romy Gonzalez on their bench already, is IKF becomes so redundant, right? It felt like that IKF move was a panic move by the Red Sox, like oh my God, I don't know if we're going to get anything done. We still need to have somebody in here. Let's just grab IKF. And then like 2 days later, they were like, oh, wait, we can get something done and we can get everything we kind of wanted in one trade done without giving up major pieces. So now you're sitting there and it's like, okay, what do you do with them, right? And so, it comes down to, look, this guy's going to be, at the end of the day, heaven forbid Story goes down, you've got a reputable shortstop to cover it, or even moving Marcelo over to shortstop and having, IKF play third base, right? You have that option there. On top of that, late game substitutions, maybe it allows you to do something like, hey, I'm just trying to think off the top of my head what kind of situation this would be. A tough righties on the mounds, and you want Masa or whoever to hit for Caleb Durbin, right? And you're able to do that because you know that you got IKF on the bench that's going to be able to come in after Masa came up and just sort of take over that defensive role, right? And that's sort of what I think you end up looking at in terms of what is, relationship in terms of the Red Sox is going to be. What role does Mikey Romero fall into? Right now, it's going to be a little bit tough for him to crack the big league roster, I think, at some point this year. It really depends, right? In my opinion, if you're looking at sort of the list here in terms of backup plans for the Red Sox, I would put Mikey pretty high up there, right? If he starts off the year in AAA pretty consistent, like you looked at the very end of 2025, and he just continues that until, injuries pop up or the deadline pops up or whatever. I think there's, in terms of, hey, we'll say like Brendan Rodgers has an opt-out, so he might not even be on the team if he doesn't make it. But let's say, it's sort of like backup B is IKF, backup C is Nick Sogard, and then backup D would probably be Mikey. Like he's not too far off, especially on a bench role too. Does Masa have good lefty-righty splits? He's decent against righties, not great against lefties. Hello. Is Casas 20 home runs crazy to say? I always thought he could be better. 20 home runs is going to be tough because it just simply playing time, right? Also love the name. Like to start it off, I think Costas is much further along than we initially thought. But at the same time, too, he's definitively not going to start the year on the Red Sox, right? And he's more than likely going to need more than 20 days in AAA to figure himself out. So let's say Tristan Casas comes back around, early June, late May. I don't know that you get the at bats, and even when he's healthy, how are you going to fit him in on the club, right? So I don't know that he gets enough ABs to get 20, but yeah, if he gets full ABs, yeah. I think you could see 20 from him easy. What did he have in 23? How many did he hit in 23? Was it like 24 or something? I'm going to get to it. Hold on one second. Let me just look. Yeah, 24 and 23, and that was in 132 games. So let's say he plays, I don't know, 80, 90 games this year. You're probably looking at like 15-ish. But then we got $2 super chat from Bay Sox. He says, bold take, Roman hits 35-plus home runs this year. Yeah, that is a bold take. I am kind of nervous that Roman's going to be like, they're going to be like, hey, man, you need to hit the ball out of the ballpark. And all of a sudden, this dude's like swinging under everything. That's my biggest concern with that. My hope is that, and I don't think Roman's one of those players who's like, oh, I'm just going to, like Benintendi was a prime example of what I'm talking about, right? Where in, 2020, he was like, I'm going to hit more home runs, and it ended up being terrible. It's just, he wasn't that kind of guy. I don't think Roman's going to do that. I think he's too confident in himself and too much of a gamer to do that. But if he's going for like 35 plus, I worry about what that's going to do to the rest of his swing. Did I see what Brock Holt said about the Devers situation on Section 10? Was that the conversation about the guy before the game in 2018? Is that the one you're talking about? It's possible, Patrick. Yeah, I think we'll see. I think he'll definitely see some time behind the dish for sure. Yeah, we're going to talk about Story at shortstop for sure tomorrow, E. I agree. I think best Red Sox infield's probably Story at second base. I don't think it's going to happen, at least not immediately. The problem with Story at second base is that, yes, coming over here and putting Marcel Meyer at shortstop, yeah, but that was in relation, Cart, I think, to that conversation. Putting Marcel at shortstop is he hasn't proven he can play more than 100 games, right? And I think that's what the Red Sox are kind of sitting here saying, like, hey, if Marcelo looks defensively the way he does, can we put him over at shortstop at some way through the year? Why so dismissive of Matt? I haven't been dismissive of Matt. I just don't think the Red Sox are in a position to be like, hey, this is definitively going to be the Red Sox backup catcher, right? First and foremost, yeah, it was 1.2 WAR in 60 games. He was a decent defensive catcher. He was decent. The problem is he's giving you nothing at the plate. He will not give you anything at the plate. And I don't know if this is any better or worse than Connor Wong, if we're being honest. Like, I think if we just compare last year, like the two of those last years, right? I think Dice had the better last year. If we compare careers so far, I think you take Wong, right? And the question becomes, are you just comparing what you did last year and that's all you're comparing, or do you want to compare the entire sample size, right? No, but again, Eric, you're missing my point, right? You're missing my point. You're talking about a 60-game sample size from Dice this year, right? You're saying, okay, so he's definitively a better player than Connor Wong. And I don't think that's really the correct. I don't think that's what the Red Sox are comparing here, right? I think the Red Sox are looking at total sample sizes from careers in terms of, hey, what has he been doing for his career? What is that going to look like for the next couple of years? Is that Wong or is that Matt Dice, right? And he doesn't have to be, like, Connor Wong doesn't have to be an all-star hitter or really an all-star player at all, right? Like, just be a decent backup catcher and you've got your role. So not to mention Wong went through some injuries last year and has some history with these players. So Like Dice, I think if anyone's going to give Connor Wong a legitimate run for his money, it's going to be. I just don't know how inclined the Red Sox are to go over him. But, the point of them catching or picking him up, and the point of, all the conversations of talking to Victor Cannellini and JT Realmuto and the conversations at the deadline is that, yeah, they aren't incredibly comfortable with Wong. And this is very clearly a, hey, if he is better in spring training, I think Dice has a legitimate shot at it. We'll see, though. Again, we'll see. Yeah, I think the leadership stuff for IKF comes from like just players being, liking his presence in the clubhouse. I don't think the Red Sox signed him to have like a leadership role in the team. Like, it's very clear the Red Sox signed him just strictly to be that sort of platoon type defensive replacement. Yeah, no. I'm not saying he's a bad clubhouse guy, but to say he's there's a difference between being a good clubhouse guy and being a leader of a team, right? Like if you talk about like I'm trying to figure out the best comparison. Like Kevin Plawecki was a good clubhouse guy. Everyone loves Kevin Plawecki no matter where he goes, right? Kevin Plawecki wasn't the leader of the 2021 Red Sox. Brock Holt, loved everywhere he's went. Huge personality, great clubhouse guy. Not the leader of the 2018 Red Sox, right? Does the Pablo Lopez injury change things to increase the possibility of a Joe Ryan trade? No. And I also, even if Joe Ryan becomes available, the Red Sox should and don't have any business trading for him. To be fair, you're not in these clubhouses. What do you mean? Yeah, of course not. But, the only thing we had to base it off of is what we're being told by other players. Given Romy's injury concern, IKF makes so much sense. Yeah, I wonder if the Red Sox obviously the Red Sox knew about Romy, but I wonder if the Red Sox kind of figured that Romy would be missing some time here early on. But then you have the conversation of, okay, if it's $6.5 million, IKF certainly can hit Tracy. I get it. I get you like Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, but to sit here and say that this dude can hit is just simply not true. He's a career .262 batting average, not exemplary. 311 on base percentage is kind of extraordinarily low, actually, when we're talking about. In terms of his average being .262, guy does not take a walk, really, for anything. Obviously not a ton of power. It's a .660 OPS overall. That's what, 18% below league average production? I get that you like the guy, and there is positives to IKF, i.e. him being a solid defensive player, but to sit here and say that this guy is anything more than a defensive player and has this sort of really great bat and is a clubhouse leader is, in my opinion, way overvaluing what Isaiah Kiner-Falefa can bring to the table. Yeah, he's a great defensive player, but you can't say he's a good hitter. And you can't say, really, he can't hit. Yes, he can make contact, but it's just not a lot of hits here. Yeah, and again, I'm not saying he's a bad bench guy, right? Was my point that you can't be a leader unless you're a good enough player? Is that my point? No, I don't think that's my point. I think my point is more so no, it's not actually. My point was that there is a difference between being a good clubhouse guy and being a leader of a team, right? Most of the times the leader is your best player, right? So the way I look at it when I'm talking about leadership on a ball club specifically, because you got a 162 game season, right? Is one of those guys that could kind of be this lighthouse, right? That kind of be this sort of beacon that, hey, you're headed too close to the rocks here, brother. Let's veer you in the right direction, right? And a lot of times that's a guy like Garrett Crochet is a prime example of that, right? Where he sort of developed, and everyone talked about this towards the end of the year, is that Garrett Crochet developed into this leader in the clubhouse, but he's also a guy that on the field too, hey, the Red Sox have lost 3 games in a row. We need a stopper. We need to figure out how to prevent ourselves from being able to, go on these strong losing streaks. Who do we go to, right? And that's sort of where it comes to hey, this is the leader of the guys that you're talking about, right? And I think when you're looking at leaders versus good clubhouse guys, there's a difference between that. I also, someone just mentioned, Contreras too, as sort of, they were talking about something else, but in terms of like, hey, this is a guy that, you can lean on and sort of, hey, the offense isn't doing well. Maybe that's a guy you lean on, right? And I don't know if he is or not. I know Contreras is another guy who's a good clubhouse guy, and now he's 34 years old, so he does have some wisdom to give in there. But that was sort of my point, is that there's a difference between being a leader and being a good clubhouse guy. Sox withheld Romy's injury to not lose leverage in the trade market. They eyeballed Durbin all last year. I added, to be honest with you, teams don't, it's just a normal thing because, you don't know ultimately, right? Unless a guy's getting surgery or something like that. Like, if his shoulder was bugging him, there's a chance that he comes into this season or spring training and he's like, hey, man, I'm good, right? So there's no point in making that public. And yeah, it would put you in a lower position in the trade market. I don't think that's the only reason the Red Sox did it. What do I think about the Red Sox trying to create power hitter we need on the aggregate? It could really work out well, Oren. It could be a problem. It's a risk for sure. What position / players would be most devastating for the Red Sox to lose to injury? A low-key one would be Carlos Narvaez, right? That guy gets hurt and you have Wong in there every day. Like, that's a huge that's a huge issue. In terms of just the regular guys, it would be, in my opinion, in this order, it's Crochet, Roman. It might even be Roman, Crochet, Chapman, I think. I think that's the answer. Not sure if we talked about this already. Anyone notice that Costa's looking fit / skinny? I do. That's my least favorite part of the spring is the comparison of body / year. I do it a lot, but it's only hyping guys up. I do genuinely. It's oh, this guy lost a few pounds. It's all right, well, we'll see. But yeah, he looks good, man. I think he talked about it today. He talked about how he gained a lot of confidence in himself and through this rehab process and stuff. So we'll kind of see what ends up happening there. Yeah, Bobby, trust me. I'm arguing against IKF being a leader. How many hits did Connor Wong finish with last year? It has to be 20, huh? $32. I was close. Should the highest paid player be expected to be a leader? No, I don't think it's the highest paid player that ends up being the leader. I think a majority of the time, yes, right? I think the problem is what you're getting into is with okay, he's the highest paid player, so he has to be the leader. Are you talking about leader overall on the Red Sox in the clubhouse and on the field, or just on the field, right? Because obviously you'd expect the highest paid player to be the best player on the field. But does that mean he's also has to be a leader in the clubhouse? No, I don't think he has to be a leader in the clubhouse. I think you could develop that in other places, right? Especially if guys who are younger are coming up and they're in their 4th or 5th year. Duran's kind of a prime example of what I'm talking about, right? Everyone's saying Duran's the leader of the Red Sox. He's not even close to the highest paid player on the team. But you could do kind of something like that. So no, I think ultimately, if you're asking me my opinion, I think pretty much I would say yes, the highest paid player should be the best on the field. I don't think it needs to be the best player in the clubhouse. Do I think management will admit they screwed up if the offense starts off slow and go for that at the deadline? Yeah, I could see the deadline. Yeah, for sure. Roman's primed to be. Roman, I think, could be a good leader. The problem with Roman is that he's quiet. And I'm not in the clubhouse. I've been in the AAA clubhouse. Obviously, a little bit of a difference here in terms of how Roman interacts at the big league level, how he interacts at AAA. But he's a pretty kind of reserved guy. He's not one of those guys who's going to be like I always think of like Chris Sale screaming at the team in the dugout in 2018, or like David Ortiz screaming at the team in 2013, right? Like, I just can't picture Roman doing that. But, he's also 20, what, 21, 22? What's he going to look like at 28, 29, Potential extension candidates? No, we haven't talked about extension candidates. You want my honest answer on extension candidates? Yeah, Bobby. I'm not saying he's going to be a bad leader. I'm just saying, like, I don't know if he wants to be a leader. Does that make sense? I don't think there's really a prime potential extension candidate on the Red Sox right now. Like, if you think about it, Tolley and Early, we don't even know if they're going to play much this year at the big league level. So it doesn't make a ton of sense to me to lock them up right now. Marcelo, if he plays a full year healthy, I think, yeah, have a good night, Potato. If he plays a full year healthy this season, could that be a conversation next offseason? Maybe. But I think there are enough question marks where you could wait a couple of days here. Not a single person is comparing IKF to Tatum now. No. Tatum's being compared to Roman Anthony. I think you're losing it here. Where am I? Yeah. Narvaez, I don't know, dude. No, I don't think I extend Narvaez. A catcher, like, you've got him for another 4 years, right? 4 years, 5 years, 5 years. You've got him for another 5 years. Like, maybe you have this conversation in 2 or 3 years. Like, I don't think there's anyone that's really sitting there saying, boy, do we, like, when Roman came up, it was like, if we don't lock this guy up, we're going to see him in a Dodgers uniform in 4 years, right? Like, there's not really that guy on the Red Sox right now. Like again, if Tolley or Early or Meyer had these big seasons and have been here for a long time at the big league level, I think then that's a different conversation. Trevor Story, nah, dude. Story's going to be, what, 32, 33 this year? He's going to be 34 at the end of his contract. There's no reason to extend him, especially after the injury history that he's had to start off the Red Sox contract. That wouldn't make any sense. Oviedo? Yeah, even Oviedo. I just, like, again, I don't think so. In 4 years, who do I see playing first base? I have no idea, dude. I still have faith Costas can regain that title at some point. That'd be great. I like, there's just a part of me that's like, man, all he has to do is just stay healthy, right? And Costas can be an everyday player, and more than an everyday player, middle of the order bat for you with that 30 home run plus potential here. It's just like he just can't stay healthy. So my heart would want to say Costas. The truth is, I don't know if there is an answer right now on the team, and maybe Costas has the ability to figure himself out, as he gets further down the line here. But I mean, he's what, 26, right? He's got 3 more years of arbitration, I believe. When is Oviedo free agent? 2028, I think. 2028. That sounds about right. Let me see. I think it's 28. Wrong way. Yeah, 28. Please show the lineup from RotoWire. It's accurate. My God, Sandy, would you just sneeze on the keyboard? Roto Champ? I don't see RotoWire's. Oh, is this is what you're looking at? I would put Cedon at the 5 hole is insane to me. I don't do that. Absolutely not. Who would IKF be platooning with here? Like, who do they have IKF platooning with? Duran? That makes no sense to me. I don't know if this makes a ton of sense. This is not the real lineup, brother. Oh, well, we're doubling down on sneeze on the keyboard here, Sandy, huh? Yeah, this doesn't make a ton of sense to me. Like some of it makes sense, right? You're obviously gonna platoon Meyer and Romy. Story, I think, staying in the number 2 is fine. I would put Roman at number 2. Wilson staying at 4 makes sense. I would keep Willier in the 5. No shot I'm putting Cedar Rafael in the 5 hole. Even against lefties, I would put Willier in that 5 hole. Your goal was to make him an everyday player. There's no way that you're gonna put Willier Brayu. You know what I mean? Like if you're trying to build up this guy's confidence, starting him lower doesn't make sense. Duran platooning's fine in my opinion, but with IKF, why? Why are we doing IKF? If you're going to do this on an everyday basis in terms of versus lefties, Christian Campbell, sit him on the bench. You know what I mean? I don't know if this is an incredibly accurate lineup, dude. Yep, we're just copy and pasting the sneeze here now, Sandy. Marcel in a couple of years if he shows he's healthy. Yeah, for extensions, yeah. Is Romy being DH and IKF at second? Yeah, possible. Possible. That is possible, yeah. But even then, it's like if you just put Romy at second and have Campbell DH. Like I just like if you're gonna like to me, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa is a defensive replacement. And this puts him into the basically what? I mean, how many teams have at least one lefty in their rotation? I'd say almost all of them outside of like the Astros. Like, so you're going to see this on the regular. No way. I hope Duran can show that he can hit lefties again. What's interesting is that Duran's never really hit lefties very well. Like, there hasn't been a season, like, I think the only season where he was decent against lefties was 2023. Yeah, 2023 he was good against, but he only played 34 games against them. You know, so it's tough to sit here and be like, oh, yeah, Duran's going to get back to the 1 month sample size. You know what I mean? That just, like, to me, doesn't make a ton of sense. Like, even in 24, when he was essentially an MVP candidate, right, he was still not great against lefties. In fact, he wasn't very good against, like, he was so good against righties that it made him look much better, but, like, he wasn't great against lefties. And then, obviously, last year he was worse, I think. Yeah, he was much worse, but I don't know. So I don't know what you mean show he can hit against lefties again, you know? Crochet should have gotten, nah. As much as I love Crochet, Scuba was the better pitcher. He just was. He just was. Sandy, I'm not going to respond to you until you complete a sentence without a grammatical error. Romy is a DH likely with his starting shoulder. Yeah, I mean, when he first initially comes back, but eventually you're going to have him out there. You have to have him out there, essentially. But even if he's going to DH a lot of the season here, you're telling me you would rather have Isaiah Kiner-Falefa in basically what 2-3 times a week against lefties than you would Nick Sogard, Nate Eaton, or Nate Eaton or a what? Who am I missing? Christian Campbell or a Monasterio, right? Like I just don't think so. I think the Red Sox make a good trade before good trade. I think they made good trades this offseason. You didn't know that he had only played a month in 2023? Yeah, I think there's some context there for sure. Platoon Campbell with Duran. Yeah, I think there's a possibility. I just don't know if I don't know if the Red Sox want to take Duran out of the lineup that much. A great trade, I don't know how you sit here and say the Durbin trade was bad. I don't know how you sit here and say that the Wilson Gutierrez or the Sonny Gray trade was all that terrible. The other thing too is that if you want to look for a great trade, what about Garrett Crochet, who finished what, second or third in Cy Young season? Who is more iconic, Bobby D, or Bobby V? Sandy thinks all three of those guys are the same people, apparently, according to his spelling here. What up, Trick? But who's the most iconic? Probably, I'd say Bobby V, man. Who's the backup closer if Chapman gets hurt? It's got to be Whitlock. Has to be. I think Whitlock could close pretty easily. I mean, Whitlock comes into a lot of late game situations and crushes it. I think I think it's Whitlock pretty unanimously. I don't even know, like, where would you even go outside of that? You know what I mean? Like, what, Weiser? Not a chance. As much as I actually thought Weiser was solid last season, just had, like, you know what the problem with Weiser was last year? Is he had, like, a couple of, like, big moments where you just can't get him out of your head. I immediately think of Weiser, and I don't think of, like, the good moments he had. I think of, like, that game in Detroit where Christian Campbell hit that home run, and everyone was like, oh my God, here we go. And then, like, 3 pitches later, Javi Baez sends him to the moon. And then I think of, like, Peyton Toley's debut and Conley Early's debut. It's like, oh my God. Whitlock fell apart in the postseason. Yeah, he also pitched the most pitches he had thrown the entire year. So, like, yeah, he did fall apart, but also, like, he kind of threw more than he was expected to throw. Is Sandy actually spelled Fandy? What are my projections for Conley Early this year? I'm not great with projections, man. In terms of what I expect from Conley Early, like maybe 10 starts. I would imagine somewhere in that range, right? I really think 2027 is going to be when we see a lot of Conley Early and Peyton Toley and those guys. In combination with the fact that, Sonny Gray's on a 1-year deal, the fact that, they talked about the idea of trading Bello. Interesting. I'd entertain Don at the leadoff against lefties. Brother, that's crazy. With a healthy Romy Gonzalez, you want Don Rafaela leadoff? What was he like in 25? Man, we've looked at Don a lot, huh? Yeah, I don't think so, dude. I think Contreras is going to be the most underrated player on the Red Sox. Probably a good answer, actually. Who do I think is going to be the most underrated player on the Red Sox in terms of, like, value overall to the team? In terms of overall value to the team, who would I put as the most underrated Red Sox player coming, like betting on it? I think there's a case to be made for Bello or Sonny Gray. I think you can make a case for either, because if one of those two guys really brings himself up, really sort of like cements themselves as a legitimate number 3, I think this rotation's unbelievable. Underrated. I low key, I kind of want to say Narvaez, dude. In terms of, like, bat wise, Narvaez could make this lineup dirty. Like, dirty. If he gets healthy and stays healthy, Narvaez is an interesting pick. Crawford, I think, is a fun one to say. Yeah, I could see Crawford as well. Remember when Contreras psyched one of our pitchers out with the pitch clock? No, I kind of don't. IKF? No. Yeah, Ben. I don't know if they look for a catcher at the deadline. I think bullpen help for sure. Every team looks for bullpen help. Narvaez scares you on the Savant. Yeah, well, he also got hurt really early on. Abreu, in terms of underrated offensive player, that's a good name. I didn't even think about him. Contreras seems like he's going to hit more home runs as a Red Sox in his career so far. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is about. I don't know what it is about Contreras that every time I see him, I agree with you. Like, every time I see him, I'm like, man, that guy's gonna hit 40. He's not gonna hit 40, but yeah. Oh my God, that was him, CW. You just gave me a flashback here. You just gave me an absolute flashback to that game Kenley blew. Oh my God. I forgot about that. I think I was at that game. No, I was at the game before it. Man. Kenley Jansen era in the Red Sox history was wild, dude. Because he was never, like, terrible, but, like, I never really truly trusted him. There's, like, 12 Red Sox who go full mental. Yeah, true. Contreras is savage. Yeah, Contreras is just a gamer to me, dude. I'm excited to watch him play. I tweeted this out the other day. Contreras had one presser, and I'm like, oh, yeah. I was like, oh, yeah. I'm in on this guy. They're trying out a new crash dummy helmet. What are we talking about, James? James is having his own conversation with himself here. The 2 games I went to this year, we lost by scoring 1 run both times against the Yankees and Athletics. Flames, I would venture to say that you probably shouldn't go to games anymore. Listen, that's just one man's opinion, you know? The other thing I wanted to talk about today actually was, again, this is a hard transition, but I did want to talk about this a little bit. I'm very curious to see Brayan Bello in terms of what he could unlock this season. Listen, I know there isn't a ton of expectations on Bello, especially with Sonny Gray, but with the Ranger Suarez one too, it's like you sit here and it's like, okay, well, he's the number 4, right? If he gives you anything sub 450, you're probably in a pretty good spot. But I sit here, you know, we talked about Bello adding in that new pitch, right? He's separating the sweeper and the curveball into 2 different pitches. He's retooling and trying to bring back that changeup into being part of his everyday equation, which is fantastic, by the way, because his changeup, before he used his slider a lot last year, was his bread and butter pitch. So getting that back will be huge. We also talk about, you know, like Cora's talking about this here, right? It's talking about, you know, how can guys that the Red Sox brought in really help in terms of, you know, bringing Brayan Bello to that next level. And I didn't really think about that until literally today when Alex Cora talked about this. Shout out Tyler Milliken, by the way, for posting all these on X. I listened to them while I'm working, and I don't really get the time to, like, clip them and put them into, like, stories and stuff. So for him to do that, it's huge for me. But anyways, that's kind of a me thing. You go back to sort of the underrated parts of adding in veterans like Ranger Suarez and Sonny Gray. I think it's underrated in terms of, like, we talked about last year Bregman being so helpful for the Red Sox on the position player side of things. You know, with Early, with Tolley, with Bello, with Oviedo, even with guys like Cutter, right? Even guys like Cutter, you sit there with these guys and it's like, okay, how do we get our position or our pitching core to that next level? Well, let's bring in a guy like Sonny Gray, who has a ton of experience, who's pitched in the postseason, who's pitched kind of all over the place. And let's bring in a guy like Ranger Suarez, who's, you know, not this flame-throwing superstar type pitcher, but twists people to death. Let's get that guy in here too, and let's get a couple of different perspectives as opposed to, you know, as much as I love Crochet, and Crochet's a leader and a guy that everyone should be looking up to in this rotation, but let's get some different perspectives in here. I didn't think about that until today. And I think that's a really interesting angle that I just never, because I was so focused on sort of leadership with the young position player core that I kind of forgot that, you know, in probably 1 or 2 years here, a majority of this rotation is going to be this young pitching core, right? We're going to have sort of a similar shift where it's like, hey, Roman, Marcelo, Christian Campbell, and sort of like the Cedon Willier group, they're up here now. It's go time. We have a similar conversation when we get to the pitching staff with Tolley, Early, Witherspoon, you know, Bello, Oviedo to some degree too. So I think this is a really interesting angle. What do I do for work? I just sit behind a desk all day. It's nothing exciting. Not that this isn't sitting behind a desk all day, but you know what I'm saying here. James, brother, who are you talking to? Who are you talking to? Am I going to spring training? No, I can't. It's not in the budget. Does anyone have concerns of back-to-back lefty starters? I am curious about that a little bit. A little bit. I am curious about that in terms of can they get. Let me put it this way: Will they go with Crochet, Gray, Ranger, Suarez, and not go with sort of what the best 1, 2, 3 is, and kind of mix it up a little bit? Yeah, dude. James is on another planet right now. I can't even make out what kind of argument you're trying to have here, James. I don't even know. Like genuinely asking, who are you talking to? Do I think Witherspoon could see a start this year? I think it would take a little bit to get him in here, just because the depth in terms of major league options is really, really high right now. But if he has a crazy, like, he could have a Peyton Tully type season for sure. Do I think Rangers a true number 2? Yeah. I think the only reason he wasn't a number 2 with the Phillies was because they had such a good rotation. Not giving up Myers from Marte is crazy. Probably still could have got Durbin. What do I think? Probably not. I mean, would I rather have? If you're asking, would I rather have Ketel or Durbin? It's obviously Ketel Marte. But I also think at the same time too, would the Red Sox have? Okay, so here's the better question, BD. The Red Sox looked at this and said, "Look, we're trying to bring Bregman back, right? We're trying to bring Bregman back at the time of this Ketel Marte trade. Do we want Bregman and Marte, which would be really good this season, but in 2 years would be a really tough infield between Contreras, Story, Bregman, and Marte, or do we want Marte and Bregman, or do we want Meyer and Bregman, right?" And so they say no to it at the time. So the situation's a little bit different, right? Do I think if they had lost Bregman and Marte was still on the table, they say yes to a Marcelo Meyer, Ketel Marte swap and then go for a guy like Durbin? Yeah, I think they do. But the problem is Bregman was still on the table when that conversation was being had. Is Bello gonna have a breakout season? Dude, listen, breakout in terms of what, right? Breakout in terms of what? How much better can he get than he was last year? If will Witherspoon be moved to Worcester, you think? I think he'll start in Double-A. Or he didn't pitch last year, no. So he'll start in High A, and then he'll make his way up pretty quickly. Is over 87 wins realistic with this lineup? Yes. And I had this rant last stream. I need to say it again because people still aren't talking about it. We've gone from, hey, the Red Sox are one power bat away from being a legitimate star-studded lineup that could win a World Series, to they didn't get the power bats, so they suck. How could they possibly suck if you were a singular bat away from being a World Series contending team? Right? Like, someone riddle me that. Griffin, we're going to talk about that tomorrow. Is Marte available at the deadline? I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. How can Bello get better? Bello getting better would be, I think, swing and misses would probably be the answer there, right? He had a career low in swing and misses last year, career low in strikeouts, put away, right? That was the thing that I mentioned in the video. That you sit there with Bello and it's like you would see so many, and this is why he had his struggles. There would be games where he would get super deep into games, and then there'd be games where it'd be like the 5th or 6th inning, and you'd be like, God, I don't think this guy can make it one more batter. And the reason was because he would get to 0-2 or 1-2 or even 2-2, right? And you'd be like, okay, let's put him away, Bello, and it'd be 1-2, 2-2, 3-2, right? And all of a sudden, does he end up, grounding out? Does he end up popping out? Or does he end up on first base or further? And I think that would be the number one thing, in my opinion, that Bello, if you can get to that level with Bello, I think really sort of brings him from a, hey, this is probably a little bit of a back end guy. Last year was, I wouldn't say fluky, but hard to replicate, I think would be the better answer here. And we'll see. There's a lot of talk about Bello developing new pitches. The ask is why. That's actually what Corey's talking about on your screen right now. Yeah, my answer is to finish off more hitters, right? It's the same answer applies. If you add in more pitchers, James is getting political. Yeah, all right. If I see one more political comment from James, he's out. Do I have a moderator in here? I don't think I do. I'll do it myself. That's fine. But yeah, that's it's the same answer, right? It's the same answer of in terms of Bello, how do you sort of reach that next level? What is the purpose of trying to adjust pitches, add in new pitches? It's to keep hitters off balance. It's to generate more weak contact for sure, but to have that pitch to go to in 0-2 or 1-2 that allows you to generate not even more swing and misses, but just more strikeouts in general. Skaith the Thorn. That is an unbelievable name, by the way. I appreciate you upgrading your membership, man. Thank you. Get some claps in chat for Skaith. Did I say that correctly? They're among the worst defensive teams in errors and unearned runs. Has that improved? Yes, for sure. Infield defense, I think, is better than it was last year. I think it's better. Outfield defense is going to be good. It is. It's going to be good. I also think you got to remember too. I appreciate that, Caleb. Thank you. You have to remember too that like a lot of the errors last year too, were defensively like kind of dumb mental mistakes from young players, right? Say Don Willier, like they'd make these excellent plays, and that's what won them Gold Gloves and why they were metrically the best players in baseball. But they had a decent amount of errors. Like Duran's a prime example of that too, right? Like in 24, he was very good at figuring out, okay, this is who I need to throw the ball to. This is where it needs to go. His arm value was still great last season, but there were times where he'd try for the big play as opposed to just getting the ball in. Right, it was more than just hey, they're not good defensively. It was that this team was growing into itself defensively. I think that's what you saw with Willier. I think that's what you've seen with Duran. I think having Meyer out there, Durbin's a good defender. Story, I think, is better than what we saw last year. That is more so just sort of looking back on what his career looked like. I don't think Trevor Story's ever going to be an elite defensive shortstop ever again, but I do think he's going to be more towards league average this year. And then Contreras was what, the fifth or sixth best defensive first baseman in baseball. So yeah, I'm cool. I'm cool with the defense. I think, honestly, I think you got, and not to mention your bench, I think is better defensively too. Right. Like last year's bench, it was like, Christian, like you have to remember Christian Campbell was at second base to start the year for the Red Sox. He was defensively the worst second baseman in baseball by a mile. Right. So now you're immediately going to be better than last year. But I also think having a guy like IKF on the bench, Romy, even a guy like Sogard on the bench, throughout the year at points here is going to be more beneficial to the team. So yeah, I would say they've improved defensively for sure. I think we're going to see a lot less errors. Actually, let me rephrase that. I think we're going to see a lot less unearned runs. I think we're still going to see some errors, but I don't think it's going to be as detrimental as we saw last year. Do I think it could be possible for Duran to get a Gold Glove in the future? I don't know if he gets one in left field, honestly. I don't think so. Could I please list my top 10 teams? Red Sox, Brewers, Twins, 10 teams. Athletics. This year, I like the Athletics this year. I've always kind of liked the Cardinals. 5. How am I supposed to name 10 teams, chat? Padres, because I love Xander Bogaerts. Yeah, my top 50 hitters. Yeah, sure. Let me just rip that out real quick. Padres, how many am I up to? 6. Braves, because they once played in Boston. Royals, because I like their field. I'm doing this, Chad. I'm doing it. 10 more. I need 2 more here. I'm doing it. Not my favorite teams, the best teams in Major League Baseball, brother. Oh, my Lord. The 10 best teams in baseball? Probably like Dodgers. You know what? Like Dodgers. Why is this so difficult for me right now? And you know what it is? I put all of my brain power into naming my 10 favorite teams. I can't shift my focus now. I'm just naming teams. Dodgers, Blue Jays, because the Blue Jays were just in the World Series. So they did get a little bit worse here. Do I put Mariners at 3? I don't know. Yeah. Listen, chat. As much as I would like to do this, I'm lost. I put myself in a bad mental space. I put myself in a bad mental space. I can't figure myself out. Low key, I think the Mets will be a top 10 team again this year. But like putting them in order is gonna be tough. I'm just gonna name the top 10 teams. You can put them in any order you want. Dodgers, Mariners, Phillies, Mets. Mets. We'll put the Mets there. Red Sox, Yankees, Blue Jays, Orioles. I think they could have 3 of the AL East in there. 4 of the AL East. Did I already say Mariners? Did I already say Mets? So this is why I don't like doing top 10s. What's up, Klebe? Do I think the Blue Jays got worse? Yeah, I think so. A little bit. I don't think there's the need to trust the process, Flames. I think everyone but Red Sox fans are saying the Red Sox are a top 10 team in the league. Everyone. I feel like Ranger's going to pitch the most innings in his career, high in strikeouts. That's a good guess. I would like that. Name as many Japanese baseball teams as possible. No. No. Your top 10 teams. Oh, yeah. See, that's a good way of doing it, Mike. I didn't even think about doing it that way. Would our 2018 team beat the current Dodgers? Like same statistics and everything? I think low key, I think there's a good shot. Yeah, like if we're doing straight up statistics, I mean the Dodgers right now on paper are better, but I don't know, man. Do I ever read Yankees media, Corbin? A little bit, yeah. A little bit. I like looking at blogs. I'm not a huge I will watch like the bigger Yankee stuff just to get some information on what's going on, but I think Yankee fans are more upset with their offseason than Red Sox are. Which is funny because it feels like Red Sox fans hate this offseason. I didn't think it was a bad one. AL East standings prediction. Is it crazy for me to say I think the Red Sox are going to be competing for the division this year? Like, as much as, like, the Blue Jays don't scare me as much as they did last year. Which is crazy because, like, they did get better. I just don't know. Like they replaced Okamoto, Bichette with Okamoto. Right? They lost a couple pitchers, replaced those guys with solid ones. I just, I feel like a blind optimist to put the Red Sox first, but I'm going to go Red Sox, Blue Jays, Yankees, Orioles, Rays. I think the only thing stopping the Orioles from being much higher, in my opinion, and honestly probably my scariest team in the division, is the fact they didn't really get better pitching wise, right? They're gonna be a really good offense, but like you could score 15 runs if you give up 16, you still lose the game. You know what I mean? Like they're gonna be, like I said this. Did I say this in the members only stream, or did I say this in the stream last week? It's gonna be an interesting experiment. The Red Sox and the Orioles are pretty closely ranked when they're like ranked nationally at this point. One of them's really good, focused solely on offense. The other one kind of focused solely on pitching. I think the Red Sox are a bit more well-rounded, but it's going to be an interesting experiment. Yeah, yeah, it was a solid offense, I think, or offseason, I think. I don't think it was. So here's, like I said this last stream, and again, I'm going to make a grading the Red Sox offseason. I felt like to me there was one more move left in it. But as we get into games here, probably Saturday actually, I'll make a grading the Red Sox offseason video. But my ultimate take on the Red Sox offseason is that I can't say that this was a perfect offseason. I can't even say it was a great offseason because it if we're looking at just the moves on paper, it was solid. But the problem is you had this buildup and this expectation because of what this front office and ownership said about this offseason that put fans in a space where no matter what they did was going to be a letdown. So because of their own sort of, expectations that they've established pretty much from day one of this offseason, they didn't really get everything they wanted, right? They wanted that home run power. It didn't happen. They wanted to bring back Bregman back. Didn't happen. They got the number 2 for sure. And that was kind of it, right? I understand Contreras is a really, really good bat, and I like Contreras, but he's not that, super powerful home run hitter that they wanted. So I think I can't give it an A or even like a high B territory because of that. This could be the first time that all wild cards go to the American East Division. Yeah, like to me, it's like, okay, the Astros are kind of interesting in the West. Obviously, whoever wins that division between the Astros and the Mariners, I think they'll be a legitimate competitor. The AL Central, it's like, if you don't win it, are you even getting close? Like, are you even getting close? Like, yeah, the Royals had a solid offseason, but like if Detroit just steamrolls the division, when they made actual moves, $5 and then I'll get, or 5 gifted memberships, man. So you're going to, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Because I was about to crush you, but now I can't crush you here. I can't do it. So I'll let the comments slide, but thank you so much. Can we hit some claps to the chat for Skaith? My man. The man with the plan. Thank you so much, man. What's up, Drizzy? Red Sox fans are tuned into every pitch with this team. What, in terms of like Red Sox fans being lower on expectations than national media? Yeah, there's obviously some cadence to that. I just think Red Sox fans are lower on expectations because of what ownership and front office sort of built up in terms of expectations. Is YouTube down? I hope not. Because I'm still talking. Yeah, or I think it's a big part of it. And the problem was, again, like, it was kind of like, unless you got Pete Alonso, Alex Bregman, and Ranger Suarez, which we knew the Red Sox were never going to do. That would have been that would have been close to $1 billion. It is down, so I'm just talking to the void right now. How are you guys seeing me if it's down? No more recent trades. That's interesting, Caleb. Because we had it up before. I'm the last YouTuber standing. Damn, that sucks. My video is going to tank. That's terrible. Oh, well, it happens to the best of us. You had to go to your watch history? What is going to come up on my YouTube for recommended? Probably Tim. Tim the Tap Man. Oh, yeah, look at this. YouTube is down. Huh. My videos for Roman Anthony. Interesting. Well, that's not good for me. That is not good for me at all. I don't know, Aaron. Like Ranger Suarez is a big fish. My viewer count is 1 billion. Imagine. I'm the only person that's getting pushed to anybody. Also, chat, what would you think about me multi-streaming the games this year? Like, what would you think about me doing live streaming on YouTube, but having it go to Twitter and TikTok and Twitch as well? Yeah, Ian, I think that's a lot of people's problem with the off season. I think that's my biggest one of the off season too. Yeah, I'd do that. I might lose my mind doing that. Yeah. But the thing is I would only talk about it'd be tricky to read all the chats. That's the thing is I wouldn't be able to read all the chats. Like I would just have to focus on YouTube, I think. And just everyone else is gonna have to watch. If we go 10-0 to start the season, that'd be great. Yeah, that would be fantastic. Like we didn't add a big fish. We just replaced the big fish, lost with a different one. So you got your big fish in Suarez, right? I think Suarez was a big fish. Um, Not sure you do Twitter. It's not a great streamer. Interesting. Okay, maybe I don't do. I just see a lot of people doing Twitter, but I think those are like spaces. Yeah, Christian, if you want to go back to the beginning of this video, I went on a rant about those jerseys. I'm not gonna do it again though. Um, but I like yeah, they didn't add like a MVP candidate, but like Suarez is good. I think Contreras is good, and I think Sonny Gray. Like those are all significant moves. They just aren't the Pete Alonso type move that we were looking for. All right, chat. Calling it a day here. I appreciate you all being here tonight, man. Means a lot to me. Yeah, like it's a weird time of year where there's like a ton of Red Sox news, but there's not like a ton of it's not like a ton of big Red Sox news. Like it's kind of one of my favorite times of year because it's like just super niche baseball stuff, right? Like Bello adding a pitch or like stuff like that. I love it. So I appreciate that you guys are here talking about it with me too. It's a ton of fun to get into this type of stuff and kind of get away from, hey, are the Red Sox going to trade for blah, blah, blah. So I appreciate you being here. A lot of members tonight. Scythe, I want to give you a special shout out, man. I appreciate the gifted. It means a lot to me. But everyone who became a member, has been a member, thank you. Anyone who's here tonight, if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do. We do this basically every single day. I will be live, or I'll be live. I'll be on your screen tomorrow, hopefully with YouTube being up. That'd be fantastic. Talking about Marcelo Meyer and Durbin and where everything is at with that, because we kind of got a little bit of an update without actually getting an update. Could be a fun one. Could be a fun topic of conversation. Thank you all very much, and I will see you. $10 super chat from Super Sith. Not to be outdone by Scythe, right? But you got that in at the buzzer, my man. Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you. Everyone on their way out, make sure you hit a like button on that. That means a lot to me, brother. That was cool. That was cool. Literally at the buzzer. That was impressive, Sith. So thank you so much, man. I will see Sith. I will see all of you in the red seats.